What's happening? This is Chip from Enuff Z'Nuff, and you're listening to rockmusicstar.com. Turn it up.
Welcome to the glam-metal interview series, presented by rockmusicstar.com, with host Thomas S. Orwat Jr.
Hey everyone, it's Thomas from rockmusicstar.com with episode number 2 of the glam-metal interview series. It's June 24th, 2020, and I just got off the phone with Chip Z'Nuff, the vocalist, bassist, songwriter, and founding member of Enuff Z'Nuff. During this interview, Chip discusses the new Enuff Z'Nuff studio record, Brainwashed Generation. In addition, we talk about the upcoming Enuff Z'Nuff tour with Faster Pussycat, scheduled to start in September. And finally, we talk about the band's first 2 studio records and the reason why Enuff Z'Nuff toured with Nelson in 1991. So here he is, Chip Z'Nuff of Enuff Z'Nuff.
Hello everyone, we are on the phone with Chip Z'Nuff from the legendary band Enuff Z'Nuff. We are talking about the new record that's coming out on July 10th called Brainwashed Generation. Chip, how are you doing today?
Another day above ground is a good day, my friend. I can't complain. I'm happy to be talking to you and pushing this new record, Brainwashed Generation, which is our 18th release studio-wise, 21st or 22nd record. I stopped counting a couple days ago. But the fact of the matter is putting out another great record, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Yes, and we are dealing with some very, very unique times. And how are you dealing with this particular time period where you can't go out on the road, and you probably can't even leave your house? I mean, these are different times for us. And how are you navigating through the COVID-19 pandemic right now?
I think I'm moving pretty good right now. Look, we had a brand new record coming out. We just shot a video for A Broken Love, which is the second single on the Brainwashed Generation record. In the meantime, I just did a recording with Kip Winger, the singer Claus Mine from Scorpions, Alice Cooper, Richie Kotzen from Winery Dogs. We did a song on the Winger record. Last week, I recorded a song with John Anderson from Yes, which will be coming out real soon. I just did another song with a band called Cult Star, which is the old Fuzz Bubble and Puff Daddy's label. And then and I'm doing something now with a couple of different guys from Megadeth and Bang Tango. And I'll be tracking that this week. So I'm staying busy. People are sending me tracks. I'm playing on records, spending time with my family. And I'm moving forward and just hopefully the record comes out on July 10th, and that's a strong rock record. If you like Enuff Z'Nuff stuff, you're going to be really happy with this because got a lot of great players playing with me on the record. But on July 11th, we kick off the record with a live streaming show on Monsterz of Rock Cruise. And you just go to Monsterz of Rock Cruise on the Facebook page, and you'll see it. It's a live streaming show, and we play an hour or two. And showcasing the new record, and then the tour actually starts off for Enuff Z'Nuff on I think it's September 6th, where we're on the live 2020 quarantine tour with Faster Pussycat. Things are moving forward, bro. I'm acting like there's no virus, even though there is. I got my mask on, but I'm not wearing it in the house. Yeah, and I can be out there with the protesters doing stuff and trying to get things straightened out and trying to get our country and back in order. But I'm not rioting. I'm not looting. I'm looking forward to, I'm a peace and love guy. I want to see people move forward. I want concerts to happen again. I want to see restaurants open up. I want my friends to be able to go to churches and mosques and be able to pray. And you can do that at home, of course, but I want to see the world open up again. I think that we've been shut down for long enough. But we do have to be safe, and we have to look out for everybody's best interests. So you have to abide by the law. In some cases, I don't know why, because they don't, I don't know who's making up these rules. But the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, I'm a God-loving guy, and I want to see everybody survive and have a good life.
Yeah, amen. It seems like you are keeping yourself rather busy. One of the things that I want to mention, I want to talk about the new record, obviously. And there are quite a few special guests, some very impressive special guests on this record. Do you want to just kind of tell us some of the people that played on the record?
Sure. My first call was to Dax Nielsen from Cheap Trick, and I said, Dax, I'd love you to come down and play on the record. There was things that were going on right now in the world, and it was hard for people in the band to get together at the time. And Dax says, I'd be honored to come down and play with Enuff Z'Nuff. And I've had his father play on the early Enuff Z'Nuff albums. Rick's been at a couple things. I'll never forget him coming down to Chicago Recording Company, walking in the studio, seeing a quarter pound of marijuana sitting on the table and go, wow, that's weird, a marijuana at Enuff Z'Nuff session. And then I talked him into playing on 3 songs on that record, by the way. That was called Paraphernalia. And then I got Robin Zander singing on my solo record, Strange Times, which is on the Cleopatra Records label. But I thought, you know what? I'd love to get Dax to play drums on something. And he ended up playing on half the record, which is unbelievable. And then my wife's cousin is Mike Portnoy. And she says, why don't you get Mike? I bet he'd love to play on the record. I call him on the phone. He says, Chip, send me the track. We're family now. It won't cost you nothing. So I sent him a song. And he killed on it. Played with his Beatle drum set on that one. And my last call, the last calls I made was to Steve Ramone, Joey Ramone's nephew. He played guitar in 2 songs. And, of course, last but not least, you can't go wrong here, the great Ace Frehley from Kiss. And in December, we played a show together. We toured together all of 2018. And I asked Ace, I said, would you be so kind as to play guitar on Enuff Z'Nuff new album? He says, Chip, I'd love to. What do you want me to do? And I said, I just think play a solo on a song. He says, send it to me. I'll play 4 solos. And so I sent him the track, and then I didn't hear anything from him for a couple of months. And when I came back from Australia, when I got the email back, I couldn't hear his guitar. So I ended up putting on the record Ace Frehley, Inaudible Lead Guitar, track 7. And I'm, by the way, it's me playing guitar on that song. I tried to play as close to Ace Frehley as I could on the track. And he promised me he'll play in the next record, so that's cool. So, I think it's a nice, strong rock record at the end of the day, and it deals with what's happening in the world, in my opinion. And it's a wonderful title. I named the record, last year when I was restarted to recording the album. I had no idea that it was going to be so prophetic.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some really strong tracks on this record. I particularly like Broken Love. I think that is just classic Enuff Z'Nuff. And also Fatal Distraction, I think, is a great song.
Thank you, buddy. I've loved those tracks. Shades of some of our biggest influences out there. I've always said, show me a band without influences, and I'll show you a band who hasn't written one note. So you listen to these records and stuff that we've done throughout our career, and there's little nods on a bunch of different places. It's not just Beatles or Queen. It's all different bands that we love. Cheap Trick, we love them all. And you are what you eat at the end of the day. And those are the kind of bands I grew up to love and admire, and it shows in our songwriting.
Now, a few years back, you transitioned to lead vocalist after Donnie Vie left the band. At first, was that...
He left in 2013. He's been gone for 8 years.
Right. Was that a difficult transition for you to take on?
Of course it was. I never wanted it. Who gears up a band for failure? I mean, perhaps failure's not even in my vocabulary. Maybe it just means that we'll get it right the next time. And that's what I did. My mom, she passed away 4 years ago, but she said to me, honey, she said, about 6 years ago, she said, honey, you should sing these songs. And I go, my brother's got such beautiful pipes. And then she goes, but he doesn't want to do it anymore. You got to go out and sing the songs. You got to do it. She's the one that instilled confidence in me, and every real man out there that I admire is taking a lot from his mother. Okay. And I'm not a mommy's boy, but boy, my mom was just salt of the earth. And she gave me the strength. I went in there and started doing these songs. And I realized that I've been singing them and playing them for years, but mostly just the harmonies. Although I sang lead vocals on past Enuff Z'Nuff albums, I didn't want to take the approach of the other bands out there that lost their lead singers. So I looked at, as I've mentioned before in interviews, I looked at Genesis. When Peter Gabriel left, Phil Collins took over. So instead of me going to try to find a singer like Journey did out in the Philippines, or Foreigner or Styx, or Stone Temple Pilots, finding different guys, which they all found terrific singers, I said, I'm going to do it myself. And Donnie was one of the first ones to say to me, if you're going to move on with Enuff Z'Nuff, you should sing the songs, because if you do, people will see you in the front of the stage and they'll know it's Enuff Z'Nuff. So I've taken a lot of different advice from people, and I think that I can wear this dress.
Well, you wear it very well, especially on this new record. I absolutely love your voice, and there doesn't seem like there's really much difference. I mean, stylistically, you're very close to Donnie.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There's not many guys like him. There's no about that. And I'll never proclaim to have the great pipes as Donnie does. But I'll do the best I can. The songs, and the reason people like them, and the reason that they've resonated with the fans out there, is because they're real. I'm really playing. I'm really singing. It's not a record where it's all pro tool to death. I sing and play as the best I can, and I give you everything I got. And I think these songs really showcase what's happening in the world today.
Now, also, after several decades, Alex Kane has returned back to Enuff Z'Nuff. What led to him coming back to the band?
I thought that having two original guys would be great, because he was the original guitar player in Enuff Z'Nuff. And then he left the band in the early days and put together Life, Sex, and Death. They had terrific success. And then we got Derek Frigo in the band, and Derek, everybody knows what a wonderful guitar player he is. Irreplaceable, if you ask me. Nobody plays like him. So when it came time where that seat was open, he was my first call. I said, hey, would you like to come back and finish what you started with me? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And people love him. And he was great with the, touring out Marky Ramone. He plays with stars. He's a wonderful guitar player.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has a great stage presence as well.
Yeah, he's fantastic on stage.
Yeah.
He brings the show every night.
For sure. You also mentioned the fact that you have a tour plan with Faster Pussycat beginning in, you said September, or was it October?
Yes, the Faster Pussy, it's called the 2020 Quarantine Tour. Faster Pussycat, Enuff Z'Nuff, and a special guest, which I'm not supposed to talk about right now. But that starts September 6th in the United States. We go from September all the way through November 1st. And I think there's 48 dates on that tour. We'll both be on buses for the first time, which is fantastic. Both bands have coming off records that were both Billboard top 200 records, too. We both have some success in our last albums. So we're pretty excited about what the future holds, having that package together. And we're not playing sheds and arenas, so I don't think we're going to have any trouble when it comes to the government trying to shut these shows down. I think we'll be able to go out and play and really celebrate rock and roll like it's supposed to be celebrated. Fans are jonesing for it. They deserve it. And I'm, quite frankly, the band wants to go out and play.
Yeah, you're right about the fans wanting to see it. I mean, if you guys can pull this off, I think it's going to be extremely successful, because of the fact there aren't any tours really going out, and everything's been canceled. So I'm really hoping that this you guys can make this work.
Yeah, I am as well. I talked to my buddy over at Live Nations, and he says that, he goes, your tour just might slip through the cracks in this one. The big shows, they're going to all be postponed until next year, but the smaller shows, they're going to really flourish, because everybody's jonesing to see rock bands. They're going to be jam-packed. I think he's right. I really believe people are going to want to come out and see these tours with the bands that are playing large clubs and small theaters. And as long as there's some social distancing and people respect each other, they should be fine. Look, if we could have a protest out there with 4,000 people, we could have a concert for 1,000.
Absolutely. Have you been approached to do any unorthodox type of concerts, like drive-ins or anything such as that?
We have been approached to do that, and perhaps that could be something that we've talked about that we're interested in. But we're doing that live. It's called the Monsterz of Rock live streaming show. You can get it on the Facebook page, monsterzofrockcruise.com, and just go to their Facebook page and you'll see it. All the bands are doing it. It's a live streaming show every single week. And we're doing that on July 11th, the day after our release of Brainwashed Generation. So there's some quirky stuff that we've not used to doing that we're going to try. And I think we're open to any suggestions. I see my buddy Dave Wilmer Presents putting together a concert where he's got Metallica doing a live streaming show and the Foo Fighters. So big bands are doing this as well. It's not just bands in the middle of the road. It's the huge bands as well. We're all swimming in the same ocean together. So I think that the fans are jones to see concerts. Maybe the live stuff where you're playing movie theaters, that could be something that goes on for a little while as well. But I really believe people want to get in one place and see their favorite band play, and we're in June right now. I say by the time September rolls around, we're going to have more answers on how we can move forward as a country.
Right. Okay, I would like to spend some time talking about the very beginning of the band. The band was formed in 1984, and you released your first record in 1989. How long did it take before the band started generating interest from record labels?
Actually started right away, but it was small little independent labels, and we knew that there was a better way for us. And the reason we got a record deal in 1989 was we were in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin in 87 doing demos and working with a guy named Bob Brigham. And the place was called Royal Recorders, and they had bands like T'Pau and who else was in there? Adrian Belew and the Bears and Skid Row and Jane's Addiction. Everybody was making, recording, or mixing their records there. And Doc McGee happened to be in the studio. We gave him a couple cassette tapes about what we were doing. And he got back to us later and says, I got 3 cassette tapes in my car, Chip. 2 of them are your band. I have a friend of mine over at a label, and his name is Derek Showman. He signed Cinderella and Bon Jovi. I think he'd like you guys. I'm going to turn him on to your stuff. And that started everything off for us. We trial and tribulation, a lot of working, playing gigs, opening for BTO and the Guess Who and Cheap Trick for no money at all, just to steal their fans. And I think all that hard work, and we're a very tenacious band. We ended up finding a break and doing that record with Atco Records with that spawned a couple of hits, New Thing and Fly Michelle at MTV, and that changed the whole trajectory of our life right there. But for years and years, for all the bands that are, anybody that's reading this or listening to this, you know, it's all about working and not worrying about just the money itself, but trying to reach an audience and find people and making a great record. That's the end of the day. That's where it's all at. You know, putting together your best songs for all 3 years of your career, how long you've ever been together, listening to the same, you know, the kind of style of music that you really enjoy doing, recording those songs, and then going out there and learn how to play them live and reaching an audience and be nice to everybody, because that costs nothing. And with it, you can give so much. I think that's the most important thing for any band out there. Play, get as good as you can, and try to reach as big audience as you can, because you don't get a second chance on a first impression in this business.
Yeah, that's true. What are some of your memories of recording that first record? I mean, I'm assuming that must have been a pretty exciting time for you and the band.
We were sequestered in the studio in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. We were stealing horses out of the stable and running through McDonald's and Burger King parking lots, ordering food at 2 o'clock in the morning. We were out of control, bro. The management company had a drug problem just as bad as the band. So the inmates were running the asylum. We'd have guys coming by the studio until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. There was a plethora of girls in there in the studio as well, hanging out all night with us. And there was a band that was making their first record, and we already sold 10 million records. That's how we were living. We were out of control. And we just got lucky and got a break because the good Lord was watching over us for sure. Because at that time right there, we were at a time where there was too much product, not enough demand. There was tons of bands getting record deals, and there was just too much out there, and no one knew what to grab onto. But when Doc McGee got us our record deal, the first thing we did was went down to New York and seen a friend of ours. We made a friend out there named Rick Krim, and he loved bands like Dan Reed Network and Jellyfish. And he was the guy that said, man, I really believe in your band and stuff. You know, you guys make a video, and I'll see if I can get it played by the network. And we recorded the New Thing song in a day with Benji Hall and Ralph Seaman, these 2 guys who shot videos for like bands like Faith No More. And it resonated. People loved it. It was colorful. It was flamboyant. It showed all the bells and whistles of what rock bands are supposed to be about. And it really helped us a lot. And that put us right on a major tour immediately with Badlands. And that changed my whole life right there. And it gave the band a career. And we toured for months with them. And then we got big enough to where we could go out by ourselves. We had a band called, what were they called? It was a rock band here in Chicago. I can't think of their name right now, but they were really a real heavy band. And they opened the show for us, and that's what showed me the first time that Enuff Z'Nuff had legs. Oh, they were called The Front, and The Front was the opening band, and they were managed by Scott McGee, Doc McGee's brother, and we went out and did 2 months of touring with them as we were the headliners. And I think that changed everything and showed Enuff Z'Nuff, gave us the confidence that we can go out and play these songs live and we can headline shows and we were going to be fine.
Yeah, and then in 1991, you released your next record, Strength, which I thought was an incredible record, and so did many people. Rolling Stone gave it great accolades. That record did well. You went on the road with Nelson that summer.
We had no choice there because, and I love Matthew and Gunnar, good guys, they really are. I was sitting in my agency's office. We were signed to Premier then, a guy named Frank Barcelona and Barbara Skydell. And Locke Buchanan was our agent. And we said, how do we get these tours? How do we find a tour? We were supposed to go out with Motley Crue, and they ended up at the last minute taking out Faster Pussycat instead of us. We said, what can we do to get on one of these tours? And Barbara, God rest her soul, she said, Chip, sometimes these bands, you make friends with the other bands, and that sets precedence, and you'll be able to go out. It's about relationships the other bands witness together as one, as opposed to us calling up their agency or a record company and trying to get on a tour. It's friendship to friendship. So my recommendation is if there's any bands out there that are out there that you want to go out and tour with, maybe go out to one of their shows and talk to the guys in the band. And just so happened that night, Nelson was playing Irving Plaza, and they were doing really good. After the Rain just came out, it was a smash hit on MTV. And we thought, maybe I'll go out and check out those cats. So I go to the show, and it's all 15-year-old girls. It's not our audience whatsoever, but it's jam-packed, sold out. And at the end of the show, I see Matthew and Gunnar. I said, hey, man, I'm Chip from Enuff Z'Nuff. They're like, boy, we love your band so much. You guys got the greatest songs. And what are you doing now? I said, we're just trying to get on a tour. He goes, you want to come out with us? And that's how we got that tour. A week later, I was on a bus following around Nelson. We were following, actually, it was Nelson and Enuff Z'Nuff, and we were following around Guns N' Roses in Skid Row, playing every arena around the country. What a great tour that was. And it wasn't maybe the audience that we needed at the time, because it was a real young, youthful audience, a lot of kids. But nevertheless, it was still a major tour, and we were playing sheds and arenas, and that was a good thing for us. So looking back in hindsight, maybe that was the best tour for us. We would have been better if we were out with a Bon Jovi or a Kiss or a Motley Crue or somebody, but I still thought it was a lot of fun. It was a great learning experience for us, and we reached a lot of fans, and those records did very well for us. So at the end of the day, it'd be a shortcut to thinking for me to think it weren't, to me to believe that those weren't good opportunities for us. We took advantage of them, and I think we made the most of this situation.
Yeah, after that record, though, you did leave Atco Records. What led to that? I mean, it kind of seems strange that after two successful records that you parted ways with your record company.
Yeah, it is strange because when a band comes out and he has 2 gold records back in 1990 and 1991, and then the record company says, okay, we're ready for you to make your 3rd record. By the way, you're $750,000 in debt. Wow, talk about confusing motion with progress. We thought we were kicking ass and doing well. Got David Letterman a couple of times, MTV was playing our stuff. We had a nice foothold on what was happening in the music industry, at least we thought then. And so my manager said, well, how many records do we have to sell to get out of debt? And that record company said, well, about 2 million. And so we asked for a release. That's exactly what we did. And then we realized that, well, maybe if we're going to move on, maybe we should just file a Chapter 7, a bankruptcy, body slam all our creditors, which was the record company, and then move on and sign another deal. And we just got lucky. Clive Davis heard our demos, and he's the one that said, hey, let's sign these guys to another record deal. So we were back in the game again. But listen, Atco Atlantic Records was a wonderful label, and it bums me out because I wanted that run to be a little bit longer than it was. But at the end of the day, they gave us an opportunity to help break our band, and here I am 20-something years later, still making records. So I guess we did okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you really got the attention of so many people. I mean, Howard Stern being one of them. Just talk a little bit about Howard Stern and what a big help that he was on the band's career.
Well, we didn't even know who Howard Stern was. We're from Chicago, so when we were listening to radio, it was Steve Dahl and Gary Myers and Kevin Matthews and Mancow. And then we got to New York, and Dee Snider's got a brother named Mark Schneider. And Mark Snyder was a radio guy, a radio rep for Atco Records. He says, "Hey, I got this friend of mine, Gary Delbotti. He's got a show called the Howard Stern Show. Would you want to go on there?" And we said, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "It's a massive show. You're going to love this guy." And first day we were on with Howard, we loved each other at hello. He really was a big fan of the band. He loved our music. And I've been on that show over a dozen times. He really was a fan and did the liner notes to our record in 1985. And it helped give us a career. And every time we would go out and do a TV show out in New York or radio shows, Howard always have us on there pushing our records. And he's a big proponent of the band and a major reason why he definitely helped break the band worldwide. But we didn't have Sirius XM there, so in New York and that whole metropolitan area we did very well at. But we found ourselves in other cities having trouble because of our friendship with some of the radio programmers around the country. But the fans spoke, and because of the music was so strong and because we never stopped, our work ethic was to go out and tour around the country. We were able to survive all these years because we weren't lazy band. We took advantage of every opportunity that we had. And, it would be 10 steps forward and 3 steps back for us all the time. We always had a propensity to get in trouble at any single moment. But at the end of the day, our record spoke volume.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I just want to end the interview with one last question. And again, Chip, thank you very much for your time. But when all is said and done, and hopefully that won't be for a few more decades down the road, how would you like to be remembered?
A band that wrote great songs that loved their fans, and hopefully they love them back.
All right. That sounds great.
That's it. What else could I say about that, bro? I mean, at the end of the day, there's so many bands out there with so many great songs. Anybody that recognizes me or recognizes one of our songs, it's an honor and a privilege, and I'm grateful for the opportunities. And at the end of the day, I would like people to hear these songs and these records and go, wow, these guys weren't lazy. They actually put their best out every single year, and they brought joy into my life.
That's great. Well, Chip, again, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll see you on the road in September and October.
Thank you, bro. Be safe. God bless you and your family.
Yep, same to you. Thank you.
Thank you for checking out our exclusive interview with Chip Z'Nuff of Enuff Z'Nuff. For more information on the band Enuff Z'Nuff, please go to EnuffZ'Nuff.com. Also check out my website, rockmusicstar.com, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/glam-metal.